Dijonai Carrington's tweet has made it unavoidable to go back into this conversation. And her tweet was in response to Jim Trotter's question, right? And that was the one that blew up. That was the one that blew up everywhere out there. And, Dijonai was like, what did she say? She said, dog, how one cannot be bothered by their name being used to justify racism, bigotry, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, and the intersectionalities of them all is nuts. We all see the shit. We all have a platform. We all have a voice, and they all hold weight. Silence is a luxury. I mean, that's in response to what Caitlin said to Trotter's question. No question. And it's significant because it's a fellow WNBA player. It's significant because it's said publicly. It's significant because Carrington is already in the news around Clark with the whole this thing and guarding her up and locking her up the first game of the season. And whatever her relationship is with Melissa Smith, who is Clark's teammate. I mean, Melissa Smith was at the game, at the Sky game against the Sun, in the building to take it in. So if Smith has, a close relationship with Carrington, and I've read, what their relationship may have been. I understand. I'm not going to get into gossip or where they might be in their relationship now. But nonetheless, if Carrington is saying that publicly and you have a teammate who has that kind of relationship with her, what is the team thinking? And I saw somebody say Aaliyah Boston's friend might have said something online. But all of that was in response to Trotter's question, which blew up before the follow-up question. And again, Trotter asked her this.
It seems no matter what you do or what is done to you, it becomes a topic nationally. And a lot of times it becomes divisive. I wonder from your standpoint how you feel about people using your name in whatever culture wars or whatever wars they're fighting. How do you feel about that?
It's not something I can control. So, I don't put too much thought and time into thinking about things like that. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of it. Like I've said, basketball is my job. Everything on the outside, I can't control that. So I'm not going to spend time thinking about that. People can talk about what they want to talk about, create conversations about, whatever it is. But I think for myself, I'm just here to play basketball.
And that's the quote that she's getting criticized for. First, she started getting criticized for it online. And one thing I have to tell people is not everybody is habitually online, where they're seeing that all the time. And these discourses that happen every day. And that's why I say reality is not in line with that, because I was at the game and I didn't see anybody talking about that. The attendance is way through the roof. The ratings are way through the roof. All the measurables would indicate that Caitlin Clark is overwhelmingly popular with a lot of people. Black, white, gay, straight, man, woman, everywhere in between. Every metric would tell you that, right? But there is this dialogue that's been happening. I mean, no question, especially online. And I'm not saying that there aren't hateful people getting into people's comments. But it is hard to police the fringe of any extreme base. And I think people on all sides of this are using her for their own purposes. Carnival barkers, like I said, on one side, you have carnival barkers who are saying, they don't like her because she's white and straight. And then on the other side, you have carnival barkers saying she's benefiting from white privilege and holding, the attention from the rest of the league. And I didn't realize maybe it's quite as pervasive as it is within the league, because for Carrington to say that publicly, she's expressing a sentiment that people have. And she has a relationship with Clark's fever teammates, and that has to be awkward. And maybe the report about the Olympics and the fans had some weight and some merit, right? But even the interviewer there, and I don't know Jim Trotter personally, I'm not trying to call him out his name or say anything rude or disrespectful, but I think even he was using that for his own, because he's going to write a column about it, I promise. And it blew up exactly the way that he wanted it to blow up. exactly the way he wanted to blow up. Was that a question that Caitlin Clark needed to be asked before the game today? I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't know who was thinking about that before the game today. But he kept asking that same question. And regardless of how many times he asked it, she kept giving him the same response. But his question was very general, like people using you for their agendas. So she gave a general answer. And after all this blew up, another clip surfaced where she was asked a much more direct question by someone named James Boyd, who I believe covers the Colts for The Athletic, and I want to give him credit. I did it on Twitter. He asked a better question, a more direct question, and as a result, he got a better answer. This was that question and response.
Caitlin, I know you mentioned that, you want to focus straight on basketball. Definitely respect that. But when, just asking you directly, when people use your name for racism, misogyny, whatever, what is your response to that specifically?
Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think, everybody in our world, deserves the same amount of respect. The women in our league deserve the same amount of respect. So people should not be using my name to push those agendas. It's disappointing. It's not acceptable. But yeah, I mean, this league is the league I grew up admiring and wanting to be a part of. Like, some of the women in this league were my biggest idols and role models growing up and helped me want to achieve this moment right here that I get to play in every single night. So just treating every single woman in this league with the same amount of respect, I think is just a basic human thing that everybody should do. Like, just be a kind person and treat them, how you would want to be treated. And I think it's, very simple.
I don't know how anyone on earth could have a problem with that answer. I don't know how anyone on earth could have a problem with that answer. Caitlin has kept her head down, dealt with everything. People have been opportunists around her name in every which way, every which direction, trying to feed whatever their agenda is. And she's been focused on basketball and wanting to hoop. She said that. But when asked specifically about the way her name may be being used in certain context, let me make sure I have the context exactly right, being used for racism and misogyny, she rebuked it. She said it's disappointing. I don't want my name used that way. All the other women need to be treated with respect. What more do people want? What is she supposed to say? What is she supposed to say? That should dead it. It should be over with. That's checkmate. I shouldn't even be talking about these sort of things in that context, because those are serious issues. Those are real issues that have always been pervasive in society. But for the most part, people want to talk about basketball with her. They came to her for basketball. That's why she's popular as basketball. I really believe that. And I didn't want to believe that there was so much animosity against her behind the scenes, but I do get concerned when I see what Carrington said. I was just defending Carrington for the mocking thing. That was sports. She can play basketball. She can mock her, whatever. She could take it. Big girl. But it is exhausting. And everybody's trying to use Caitlin Clark as the instrument for what they're trying to gain, what their agenda is, what their message is trying to get across. What more could she have said just there? That should be the end of it. Isn't that what people wanted? Isn't that what people were asking for? For her to condemn random carnival barkers and random online commenters? Because she did. I mean, that's the kind of thing that should make Carrington delete her tweet. That's exactly what was being asked of Caitlin Clark. Can we move on to basketball, please? Please. Because I've gotten excited covering this and covering the league. I don't want to be exhausted. I don't want it to turn into, a shit show. Go completely to hell. How much better do you want her to handle herself?